everybody, my name is Farmer Phil. In today's video we are using the Hustler bale unroller again after a week, near enough a week of having it on the go. Got a bit more comfortable with it, figured out what's the best way of feeding and all of that, but today we're doing something different. Father Phil is just heading off there with a load of barley to deliver to a customer. Going to bring up beet and barley in the Hustler and then feed it out to the cattle up there and then feed out the bales. That's the plan. We're going to see if this is going to work. So what I want to do is I want to bring up a kilo of beet ahead and a kilo of barley ahead. So that is a total amount of about 180 kilos. There's 90 head of cattle up there. For a rough idea how much that is in the small teleporter bucket, which should be able to tip directly into this. We're going to mix it, pop it in. It should sit in here because this is a solid floor. It should sit there, not spill. And once we get up there, just sweep it out left and right. And then that way we are getting beet and barley into our cattle. It's saving having to bring up the gator to bring up barley to the cattle, and we're also getting beet into them. I think if it works, it's going to be a great job. It's going to make it more appealing than it already is, because it's just an extra thing. You're always going up empty and bringing the beet with us. I think it's just be a job now. So I'm going to get the small telly to mix a bit of barley and beet and then chuck it in there. That there is roughly 180 kilos. So roughly 100 kilos of barley, scoop of beans and minerals, and just let it on top of it, re-scoop it. So the barley will all go in between the beet. So we're using the beet chopper now. Is that beet? That's beet. So it's chopping up the beet real nice and fine, so it should be real nice for the calves to eat. So rather than trying to chop it in the diet feeder. One of the things too, with the way you have the end plate on it, you could easily bring more beet. You could probably put 300 kilos of beet into that. Easy enough, I'd imagine, before you'd be in trouble. And even with the gaps at the far side, it's still, the gap isn't big enough for the chopped beet to fall out. The barley would fall out through it, but like you look underneath it, there's nothing really falling through apart from the bit that fell over the side. But yeah, so there we have the lot of stuff we want to bring up with it. So we'll go up to the farm now, we'll feed them that, and then we'll give them their bales, and we'll see how I can distribute this. Go try and use the road sweep, so by just pushing the button I'll be able to slowly let it off one side, slowly let it off the other side. I just have to figure out whether you go one side all the way and then back down the other side, or whether you go side to side. But the problem with side to side is, unlike a bale which will unroll, that will bring it all, oh, maybe it won't. Yeah, that's the bale I'll have to figure out. Anyways, right, we're ready for off. We'll be on. We'll go feed the boys here now. So all that has to be done now is the bit of stuff from yesterday's bales that they just couldn't reach. It's just scrape that in or kick it in, really. It's not a lot. So this is what 2 bales looks like. Now we'll be back up tomorrow to film to see what everything looks like after the fact, but it's just tidy that in. There's no wild graping or anything involved in it. So, and yes, I'm not graping. Troy is doing it. And how is my back? My back is pretty good now, but still just not going to go wild bulling at the same time till I make sure I'm well over it. And we're going to try and go bit left, bit right, and work our way back out the shed. So Liv is going to film from outside the cab, and I'm going to talk shite and do the work. So again, into the shed, you don't hit it dead square. You have to do a wee bit of manoeuvring. We're going to try do left right, as Liv said. So we're going to see how this is going to work. So I'm just going to boom out, gives me more view of my left hand side. So I'm going to have to work on it. One of the things we found with feeding bales is you want to keep it low. The higher we had it, kind of the more of a mess it kind of made. So we're going to feed a bay at a time. Try not to drive over them either. Probably easier maybe not do it manually rather than using the road sweep. It just ends up throwing off too much because you just end up pushing it too far just to try and get it actuated. Feel like I could do this better. Might be just a thing, it takes practice just to really get in on it. Or maybe I'd be better off not use manual mode, or use manual mode over this. I think I've run out of stuff. So I have. Really misjudged it. I just got caught. I was using the mode where you press the button, but then I was forgetting myself because you were going up to go faster and down to go slower and then reverse it. So yeah, I made a bit of a hames of that. We might just get the fork there and shovel some of the big pile to the little pile, but we'll try it again tomorrow. We'll try it a different way. But at the end of the day though, what are we doing, Liv? We're just after giving them beaten meal, which we couldn't give them beet beforehand. And I know, it's an easier way of getting meal into them than carrying it up in the back of the gator in buckets. Would you agree? Yeah. Right, we'll go get some bales. One of the things that we've seen so far, any of our bales are like this, which is quite a few because most of the bales in the pit are light leafy grass from paddocks, is that when they're like this, you just can't drop them and then spin around and take it off, so you have to try and cut the net. The easiest way we can see of doing it is just cut the plastic off. Forgot my gloves. Lovely, the bale is splitting. Yeah, I get my gloves. I got cut, so it should just come off. Yeah, this seems to be the bit we're probably struggling with the most, to try to figure out which is the best way of defrocking a bale. Because sometimes you get a dry bale, and if you get a dry bale, you can just string it off the net and it stays together and you drop it down and you're laughing. Or you can put it in and do it the way we done in the last video. Well, all of our bales are like this, and these just tend to fall apart. Good silage. So it is. Real lovely sweet smell to it. And cattle don't seem to be doing too bad on it, but it's just messy. Go in this way with it and we start turning. Some of these bales too, they don't just roll that terrible nice. Some of them do. Some of them kind of go to a point and then get stuck. We'll probably keep it a bit further out. Left. Move on to the next pen. So I'll do half of this bit. Probably the hardest thing is just trying to get used to the speed I have to work at that. Be a wee bit easier on a tractor that way, so it would. Just drop it, and latch it itself, and we're away. There's a bit of effluent in this bale anyways. Two bales seems to be the best option to get the day out of it. Too high now. Either too low, too high. That's it, that's two bales. Good silage, isn't it? It's just lovely, leafy, good quality. I'd say if we got it tested, it should be pretty high energy, high quality silage, but it's just bloody soft. We're gonna come back up tomorrow with more beet and barley, and then we'll see how two bales looks like. But yeah, from the last video, putting in 4 bales, there's just too much in front of the cattle. Too much of it was kind of going into the pen. But with a bale each side, or 2 bales, you're just putting less out, so there's less of a pile in front of them, so it's just getting that little bit less going in. And yeah, it's not too bad. Day number 2, we'll go load up with some beet and barley, and we get off. this is what 2 bales looks like. So we probably put too much that side, not enough that side, just by how it looks. Definitely was the way to go. 4 bales was just too much to put in front of them, and it was tight doing. It's just, yeah. No, definitely 2 bales and just come up every day. Suits, and it also suits now, if we're coming up with beet and barley, suits every day. And 2 bales is just nice. So it is. And you don't mind graping what's here. Not that I'm graping, Liv is graping it. Liv, do you mind graping it? No. Because it's easy grape, because there's so little to grape. It's not like a huge pile of stuff. So probably do it giving the small guys a little bit less. They have a nice bit. The big guys don't have just as much. And yeah, so we're just sweeping it all in. We sweep this all into them, and then we go bring them in their beet and their barley, and then we give them their bales. See how this works today. I'm not going to be using the road sweep mode, because that really didn't just work for me that terribly well. So I'm going to try the normal way, just work the thumb lever. Hopefully I get it a bit better this time. So I made a right hams of it yesterday. What I'll do now is I'll tip out a bit, drive on maybe the length of it, and then tip out another bit. And then that way I should get maybe a more even distribution and not end up haping off too much in the one spot. So one of the questions there, is there enough feed space for every animal to get their beet and barley at the same time? Just about. Now there's 2 or 3 cattle, I think. The big pen and the small pen there, they have enough space. But the 2 bottom pens that I'm just feeding out now, they'd be the tightest. There'd be maybe 2 or 3 cattle wouldn't just make it into the barrier, which isn't too bad. I think I actually have a good bit more beet and barley than I had yesterday, and because I still have quite a bit there. So one of the things with this, I am able to I have to go a bit left, bit right, but I can leave it in just enough that I'm not driving across it fully. Right, bales of silage. Let's see, can I take the net off before the bale falls apart? It's like a race. And we done it. Oh, this is where you get a bale that won't, oh no, maybe it will. Unrolling, the opposite way from which it goes is a bit slower. So it kind of has to pull it apart. We'll give these guys another wee bit. We didn't give them enough yesterday. This bale we're taking off here. This is a bale from down our bottoms. This is a funny kind of a grass. I call it a bit of a sedge grass, because every year the bottoms floods. And every year this grass could be submerged for a month, and then flood waters go away, summer comes, and then this grass just takes off. Strong of itself, maybe a bit on the stemmy side, but it's really, really sweet. So it is. Have to see it to believe it. Be interesting to see what way this bale unrolls. Now we're latched. Right to you. Boomer out so I can try and see my right hand side. Start feeding. Try to keep it low if I can. Drier the silage you make, the more you put into a bale. That's always the case. And you can definitely tell the 2 bales we put in are higher dry matter because there is more quantity. Or it could just be that because it's drier, it just stays more fluffy in comparison, so it looks like there's quite a lot. The biggest thing I found with this machine is, rather than keeping it to the right or keeping it to the left, if I keep it dead center, it seems to work best for putting out the silage without throwing too much of it in on top of the next to barrier, because the more tighter it is to the barrier, the more gets pulled into the slats. And I know the shed isn't ideal from that perspective. If you had the diagonal barriers in it, they'd probably pull in less silage, as they wouldn't be able to pull their head back as easy with silage in their mouth. But it is what it is. It's just how it is. It's the shed we have. And all we're doing is making use of what we have and trying to figure out what is the most efficient and best way of making use of it. And this seems to be a winner in our point of view, especially now that we can bring beet and meal with it. Give the cattle that bit extra, saves on one job. It can be a one-person job now. You don't have to come back up a meal. Liv is with me just to film, really. Happy days. I stem fed for another day. So one little bit of housekeeping to do, and we're happy out. So Liv wanted to address a couple of comments we got in the last video using this. Video done quite well, and there was a lot of comments on it. And before I actually go any further, we still have the Hustler on demo from Johnston's Farm Equipment, so big thanks to them. If you're interested, go check it out with them. But we're happy with it. So yes, it is still on demo. We haven't bought that machine, not yet. Still don't know whether we're buying new or old. But anyways, first comment: would it not be easier to use a V-shaped silage pusher on the 35? Well, the reason, well, we don't have a V-shaped silage pusher, but we need to get a silage pusher of some description sorted. But every machine that we use up here to feed these, we can't leave anything up here, because a car literally drove by. That's the road. And it's very easy for anyone who's driving by to see if we had a 35 left up here, we had a mini digger left up, or we had any machine, if we left the Hustler up here. It's very easy for someone, open the gate, take it, and gone, straight onto the road. There is no gate. This would be the only gate. Would not leave it very safe or secure. So for that reason, and then driving the 35 up and down the road, it'd be a second machine to be brought up and down the road. You'd feed them, and then you'd have to bring up something to push in with. So yeah. Another comment: would it not be easier to put pit silage in the pit with the harvester and no going around with bales? Well, there was 200 odd bales here in the stack, but these bales are all made from paddock and bits of paddock. So every time I went out to mow for customers for baling, I'd say, right, I'll take a paddock out of multi-species sward, I'll take a paddock out down the bottoms, I'll take a paddock out somewhere, and I'll make another 10, 15 bales, draw them up here. That was good. If I made a pit of silage here off the silage I used to make these bales, we'd have opened and uncovered the pit 10 times, maybe more, for a trailer load of silage and all the hassle that goes with that. That's why we made the bales, is to make more use of our grass, and that's why it's bales that's up here. What other ones was about the end of the shed? Well, can we not use it? Well, currently this is what the other end of the shed looks like. So yeah, it goes out into the field. We were going to put them in there and put gravel and stuff around for the diet feeder, but the problem we're pretty sure we'd have is that the width of the passage is not much wider than the tractor and diet feeder. And if you were to come up and try and empty this side, when you turn around to do the other side, you're going to drive across this side. And also, I'd say, as equally as bad as bales are, we'd still end up with a lot of stuff rolling into the tank just because of how narrow the passage is. So we've gone off the idea of a diet feeder, which means we probably won't put stuff out here because we won't be needing to turn. If we want to drive the telly out here, you can see yourself how wet it is. We will be tracking right round to get to this side to make use of it. So that's why we don't use this end of the shed. Finally, one other comments I think is slightly maybe valid is people are saying about using a tub feeder for feeding. For feeding the bales, you could pop your bales in, chop it up, mix in your stuff and feed. We could do that. That is something that is possible, but the problem we have at home is where a tub feeder suits our timber shed, because it's the dead end passages. It doesn't suit our sheds that have the barriers, or sorry, the concrete truss, whereas the Keenan does. Why don't we use the Keenan, feed the bales and then draw stuff up? It's all hassle. Every way we look at it, there is something. Things just aren't perfect in the yard or what we're trying to do or shit like that, and we're trying to make it work as best we can. And we take as much as we can on board. Like definitely people are saying 2 bales is the way to go. 2 bales is definitely the way to go. Feeding 4 bales, if it was our first time feeding, wasn't the way to go. 2 bales, definitely. But yeah, tub feeder, you'd be able to chop your bales, mix your stuff, you'd be able to come up, you'd be able to feed, but we then also end up having 2 diet feeders, and there's no point having 2 diet feeders in the yard. Also, a cheap second-hand tub feeder, is that going to give more trouble than it's worth between gearboxes and shafts and big auger in it? Don't know. Whereas a second-hand bale unroller, all there is 4 bearings on it. There's not a lot that can go wrong. There's a lot can go wrong, and a lot more expense in things going wrong with a tub feeder. Anyways, look, that's it for today's video. We've fed, we've done. Probably be the last video of us with that demo machine. I'd imagine we'll try and get dropped back in the probably just after Christmas at this stage. Hope everyone has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, that time of the year. Look, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any comments or anything like that, as always, hit us down in the comments down below. We'll try and get back to you. And someone said about the ringworm. Well, I'm just looking at my calf here that has the most ringworm on us. He was the guy who brought ringworm into the herd. That's him there. He still has it, but hopefully by the springtime it'll be gone off him. Anyways, look, I hope you enjoyed today's video. As always, please like and subscribe to the channel. Videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. That's it from me and Liv. Good luck.